Welcome to the Khyber Pass podcast, bringing you conversations with improvising musicians. In this episode, we welcome Patrick Marsche, percussionist. He played a show at the Khyber Pass Thursday night music series last week. I sat down with him prior to his performance. I'm your host, Paul Metzger. This podcast is brought to everyone through the generous support of the Khyber Pass Cafe, voted the #1 Middle Eastern restaurant in the Twin Cities. I've recorded a short excerpt of Patrick's performance. That will be followed by the interview. My hope is that you'll enjoy listening and perhaps gain some small insight into the art of improvisation. So, Patrick, and then your last name, I can't pronounce people's last names. Now, is yours difficult for people because I can't even get to it?
Yeah, it's all I've ever known. So,
it's
Marsche.
Marsche, that's easy, man.
German.
They're 2 words.
Yep. It's all the consonants, though, kind of trip people up. And I had spent, from ages 2 to 5, a lot of mnemonic devices to figure out the order, because it seems arbitrary.
It does.
So I always had, I almost thought of it as, sculpturally, there's the R, and then the S gets tucked into the R, and the C is protecting, so I had all this,
you
narrative.
Had a little thing
and I still remember it, which is incredible that that's how our brains work.
When you sign your name or do your thing, is it always, is that deep in you?
I still use it, especially the R and the S. It's kind of a funny, the S always comes first.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Marsche.
Yeah, I think I've heard a lot of versions of it.
You've heard other pronunciations?
Well, just people trying it. They're just going for it, and I'm very supportive of going for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Marsche, and then the German pronunciation is Marschke.
Okay.
Which that one makes a little less sense, but that's the German way.
What is the translation to it?
I don't know. No. I'm just
I know some bit of German, and it doesn't look like.
It's probably like a region, or there's an actor named Patrick Marsche in Germany. I should call him.
Call him up maybe now.
It's probably a different. It's 7 hours ahead, 8 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's asleep. I think about him a lot, and I hope he sleeps well.
Yeah, I think he does. The Germans know how to do it.
Yeah.
Because they always have that, they love down, all the eider downs and the whatnots and the open windows.
Heavy food.
Yeah.
They're just asking for a nap.
They're just going to tuck into potatoes. They love sauerkraut.
A good ferment. So they probably have healthy microbiomes.
Yeah, I can't get near that stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is the taste or the
texture?
texture?
Yeah, everything about it. Everything.
I was never into... I grew up I basically grew up as ketchup was a little too out for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, I went to liberal arts college. Now I like fermented food.
Oh, right. Yeah. All that crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good kombucha.
Mm-hmm. So, for you, musician, right? Now, you're a percussionist primarily, or are you... Because I don't know that I've seen you play.
Sure.
But I may have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I studied percussion.
Mm-hmm.
Drums were my first instrument, and then
Me too, by the way.
Oh, cool! I guess I never realized that. I've seen you play a lot of different things, but
but
you don't shred. But your son shreds on the drums.
He's a badass. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
The family band was very very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, drums were my first thing. I had a really cool uncle who had, he just like had his studio. He was like kind of into blues and kind of rock stuff, and he had a band and was in a fortunate enough place that he could kind of like have a studio. And I remember seeing it and just being able to sit down at the drums, and he was so enthusiastic and supportive that I was able to just sit down and like 5th grade, I was 10 or 11, and just felt like a really intuitive relationship to drums.
And, okay, so what is that? It's elementary school.
You're right before junior high.
Yeah, man.
And it's so systematized now, and I was very much a part of that. Like, you're in band, and then you're in high school, you like do marching band. And then you're the kid that like build a relationship with the band director, and you're kind of the guy that ends up hanging out in the band room all the time. And
you were that kind of guy. You're like
skip
the band
lunch to
guy.
practice. Yeah. And then it's like you get a talk at some point. It's like, hey, if you want to do this, you should maybe go to school, which I now have a lot of opinions about. But
let's just dip right to that.
Yeah. So I have a really deep history with. So I studied at Lawrence University in Wisconsin. I studied basically classical percussion, but was coming more from a drum set background. Like, I was really into jazz, and was lucky to be exposed to like a lot of really great music while I was in junior high and high school, but definitely like suburban kid in jazz band. And I'm like fully aware of that trope, and that really it's a trajectory, right? Like, you go to all these weird competitions where it's like really like stiff arrangements, and then like there's like a trombone player taking a solo, and it's so confusing because I had a really visceral relationship with music and grew up with CDs, which, maybe I'm dating myself now.
I don't know.
It's just a funny thing now that like I would listen to the same CD over and over and over and over again, and that relationship to that music, I never felt that. Now looking back, it's like I never really felt that in a lot of the systematized music things, but it's all you had, right? So I would practice a lot. I wanted to be good. I was like very good at like perceiving the system and just like knowing like what the next thing to do, even though I'm like I'm a first generation. Neither of my parents finished college and really only had like 1 year of college. So
but now when you're saying like so high school was a big focus for you. You were all band.
It was my entire identity. Yeah.
Let me ask you this on that. Are you the drummer guy walking around high school with sticks in your back pocket? No, you can admit it though. It's okay.
No, I never.
This is a safe place for that.
Yeah, I was really lucky to be like I had a drum teacher that turned me on to Miles Davis when I was in 7th grade, and like the first Miles Davis I heard was the like Tony Williams band, and then hearing Tony Williams as a drummer, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So I kind of had a sense of like, I like the stuff that's pushing on the edges.
Yeah.
And kind of, I don't even know how, but like, because it was like, I was part of the generation that like iTunes, you could go and discover music.
Yeah.
And like you had to buy it, you couldn't stream it, or you figure out how to pirate it, which was like another fun thing. But the act of music discovery was like so important to me that like I wasn't like a drummer to be a drummer. I was like, I'm a musician and I happen to play drums, and I'm like, I found Goreski and like Kronos Quartet weird recordings, and started getting simultaneously into kind of like contemporary classical music, and my brain didn't really see it as that much different. I was just like exploring. And then at the same time, actually, part of the reason that I even live here is that I got obsessed with the Twin Cities jazz scene for whatever reason. Kind of, I mean, drummer geek wise.
So like, you're coming from somewhere else?
I come from Chicago. Yeah.
Okay.
Forgot to cover that part, but yeah, like hearing Dave King when I was in high school was a really similar feeling to hearing Tony Williams, which he's still alive and he's here, and you interviewed him, and like
I have, yeah.
And I've hung and talked to him and seen him play a lot too, and he's like a human, but yeah, like hearing that really early Happy Apple and Fat Kid I actually have a funny story about this building. I moved here 4 years ago from Wisconsin, and drove over with I think it was like a U-Haul trailer, so I had to drop it off at a U-Haul spot, right? And like the weird logistics of that on a weekend or something like that. I ended up, the only place that I could drop it off was over here in St. Paul.
Okay.
And me and my partner at the time were looking for somewhere to eat. And we're like, Khyber Pass, that sounds good, Afghani food, hell yeah. And we show up, and then, you know, I had kind of moved here because I love the music scene, and I had friends that had moved here by that point, and then I come to this restaurant, I'm super exhausted because I've been moving across, and then I go to the bathroom, there's a fat kid poster, and I was like, sir, like, why is that poster in there? Who are you? And then
no kidding.
he's like, oh, and then I heard about Radio Duende, and like, so this is actually the first, it's so crazy that this is the first place that I even really walked into. And then all the music, and it was, I think the music had been going for like a year or so at that point, 4 years ago.
Okay, that sounds about right.
So then, like, realizing it's like, oh, music happens here, and then it's like, oh shit, it's all the people that I love, and and then kind of falling into essentially the like Six Families community through some like peers of kind of my generation of musicians were all kind of commingling around that, and then they were really welcoming and kind of got to
what
get
little
close.
I know of that social construct.
Probably see it here.
I've just seen some folks coming in, and I've hung with Noah.
Yep.
And the vibe is just always good. It's some weird thing that happened, mostly centered at the U, I think, because I asked Noah about it. And because it's not normal, and just everybody seemed to be in a good space.
I think we were all really attached around, you know, not necessarily like, I mean, we all idolize Adam Linz and you and all the musicians that have been doing stuff here, and kind of hearing that like, you know, all this stuff started in basements. Yeah. Right? Like, Happy Apple was in a basement, and they were playing DIY shows, and then, but then we kind of see this other side of it where they, you know, they all got their legs and have careers, and they're just being like, well, like, if they did it in a basement, like, what can we do in a basement? And just like really accepting and curious music culture where we've never really kind of like delineated between like what you're supposed to listen to or not supposed to listen to, and just being able to like sincerely trust in someone's opinion, and then know that you can like maybe not love something as much as them, but that you know about it is really important and cool. So so I got off topic from high school because you asked if, basically trying to tell you that I was cooler than a kid with drumsticks in my back pocket.
I just remember that when I was in high school, seeing that, and I thought
it was more about the work to me. Like I was really obsessed with practicing, but then also coming from like nobody in my family besides my cool uncle is a musician, and then really having to like figure that all out.
So for practicing for you, were you the kind of player that was always like running the rudiments and refining like those basic parts, you know? Because I know a few drummers, like that's a super big deal to them, is the rudiments.
Yeah,
was it like that, or was it just you wanted to play and you would?
I was pretty geeky about like technique, and grew up with the internet where we could like drummerworld.com still exists. It was before YouTube, which is really crazy. Yeah, that is crazy to think about that. Like, but then they had like this. It was like the list of drummers, like, which is so funny that you could just have like, well, that's all the drummers on the left there. Yeah. And then being able to go through and kind of be like, it's a funny thing about drum culture where you can kind of like be into a drummer without necessarily being into the bands they play in.
That's so true.
It probably happens with guitar and other things, but it's like with the drummer, there's like the like Modern Drummer is a magazine, and you could, you know, I was really into those, like buying those magazines and like checking it out and reading
checking out who's playing.
And I didn't know who the drummer was, and kind of looking back, it's like you don't really like. what is quality with something subjective as music, but
is
you're
it
these
so
people being
subjective,
pedestalized.
though? I mean, just saying, because so drumming is a thing I'm really attracted to, in the way that you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people, I mean, obviously, like John Bonham and Bruford. These are two cats, man, that it's inexplicable how great they are, for me, and a ton of other people in that kind of category where I just think it's objective truth.
Yeah. Well, and I think the fact that
maybe I'm wrong on that.
But I think the fact that it can feel like physics, like it can feel like a hard science, is like the most beautiful. That's why we're attracted to it, because if it was 100% measurable, I don't think we would love those artists as much either, right? Like if you could say like if it's like almost like a sport, like Olympics, it's like, well, they just like really worked on technique and like nailed it. There's something kind of like squeaky in between all those parts about music.
There's absolutely the...
No offense to Olympic athletes.
No, actually, I want to offend them.
We should just let them use steroids and then see what happens. Yeah. Like, why are we constraining them?
Then I might be more interested. But the unknowable, the sort of it factor, like that you can't know about. I mean, without that, there's just nothing.
Yeah.
I just call it soul.
Yeah. You got groove, you got pocket, you got all these words that like even the word jazz, which is such I think coming out of kind of to tie it back to that idea of like this trajectory that we're set on as like middle class musicians, middle class suburban musicians. I feel like that's a whole category of people.
Really? I see. I don't know about it, but that's good.
You've seen it though. It's like the people that show up. I don't know. It's so hard to say it without like being vibey or judgy, but I think I'm really interested in things that push boundaries, and there are some scenes and folks that are more about preserving something or exploring.
I know what you're talking about now. There can be a mindset with jazz that kills jazz.
Or it
already did. In my opinion. Yeah. Or it already did. And I think a lot of that gets reinforced with how powerful that Marsalis guy is. And he's a killer of that for me. If anybody were to listen to what he says, it's so much the death of a beautiful thing.
But to be said, I think you can listen to. I think there are people that listen to that music and feel what I feel about the music that I love.
Absolutely.
And I always try and acknowledge that.
That's the good thing. But but I think that
if you look at the trajectory of creative music history, he was part of a trend.
Yeah.
That you can look at and understand.
And I mean, as far as that goes, I mean, it's never, in my opinion, I'll just say never because I like, it's never the right choice to choose stagnation and perfection. This is what it is, and this is all it is, and don't fuck with it. That's just a dead end for me, And I think that's where that cat is. Like, let's keep it like this, and anything else is some other thing. It just has a fascist vibe to it, and it's one of my pet peeves. People that do that, because there's an implication on what the other should be doing.
Well, and then you see some of the side effects of that mentality is like, how many women are playing in that band?
Well, God damn it, what is that all about?
Yeah, like, so, and then are you just using this idea of 100% perfect understanding of a medium, so you are all of a sudden the arbiter of the medium.
Yeah.
But then, like, are you just kind of using that to, I don't know the politics of the situation, but it's just so easy to see, like, personal bias just, like, injected into something that's being presented as a, like, it's not physics in that regard, right? Like, it's not a hard science, but
they want to codify it, and they want to make it like classical music, which is also for real different reasons. And this is shitty to say, which is also dead, in that, like, after World War II, man.
I think there's nothing wrong with saying that an art form is dead. If my case for it is, like, it was, I think there are people that were part of it when it was happening that could say it's dead, but then a bunch of other people tried to keep it alive, and that's where the kind of toxic part comes. And then you all of a sudden have, like, a formaldehyded, like, weird kind of, like, the eyeballs popping out thing. Dude. And then you're like, why doesn't anybody like my, like, formaldehyded, like, weird eyeball popping out thing? And then it's like, well, that's not, like, you're like, the act of there's beautiful ways to preserve things, right? Mm-hmm. And you can preserve things by letting them die.
That's right.
And death is, like, a very organic process. And I think even within communities, like, you know, Six Families technically isn't what it was when I moved here.
I'm sure,
right? So, but it doesn't mean that the legacy of that, and people still ask about it and say, like, what's the next Six Families thing? And it's just like everything that anybody that had ever been involved in that thing, that's the next Six Families thing. We just don't, people don't call it that, people don't think of that, and and maybe there'll be a different one. And I'm really excited. Like, I've lived here long enough now where there's a bunch of younger people moving here and getting out of school and showing up here, and
living things evolve and change. But that's off of kind of where I want to head. That's like, I have little rants and shit that I can do 2 or 3 weeks on. That's one of them. And it's very complicated and nuanced, and I just simplify it and say things that are probably offensive. But a question, okay, so you decided to go to Lawrence, which is a music college.
Yeah, there's a conservatory. It's a liberal arts school with a conservatory.
Right. So
it's
you
cool
went
in that
for
I could
classical percussion?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like signing a classical contract or anything like that, but the professor there was very much of, like, you need to be well versed in everything. Yeah. And the reason I would call it a classical conservatory is I had a lot of growth needed in the kind of more classical percussion side, so I ended up spending a lot of time on that. Was lucky enough to work a lot with the jazz department as well. There's a really great improviser there named Matt Turner. He's a cellist, who actually, when I kind of look back at the entire experience, there's a group called Igloo, which is the improvisational group of Lawrence University. Met every Monday for like 2 or 3 hours, large group improvisation, which is a very specific thing, as you know. But also, like, Matt Turner was so good pedagogically in that things would be broken down into smaller groups and instrumentation, and saying, like, okay, like, if you think free music is this, or if you think improvised music is this, we're going to do the opposite today. Because it really is that big and that expansive. And
that's right on,
yeah, so I was was in that group, even though it was like you're stressed and it's an extracurricular, and but really realizing that, like, all of the lessons of music can be discovered through the act of just trying to create music with somebody without any rules.
It's so huge,
and then like really, like, appreciating the rules, and then like you can learn about Bach and Wynton Marsalis and all these other things through this lens of, like, okay, like, we're just going to try and, like, create something close to that, and what are the difficulties of that, and then realizing, like, starting and ending, or, like, in talking about death is an important thing, like, ending is the hardest thing. in music in so
really
many ways.
Can be.
But unless you're with somebody that it's easy, but
the bigger the group, then it just becomes like Jonestown. Like you have to all kind of decide like,
all right, are we taking the pill?
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's fucked up, but I hear what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, so beginnings and endings, and then trying to like be curious and just realize like how it's so easy for us as humans to kind of want to fully understand something. And in a conservatory, you're spending so much of your time being like, I'm gonna like be so good at pianissimo snare rolls. Like, and then, you know, in leaving...
How beautiful are those, though? I can't even begin.
Especially in the right room.
Oh, man, it's a beautiful thing.
And it's hands.
Oh,
it's hands and sticks.
Stop me.
Membranes and snares. And
it's like you could fucking get that together on a
whole
walk.
Thing. Yeah.
And, so I can...
So you're able to, it's in it, you know, looking back, it's like, I look back a lot and I'm just like, I had so much time and I like was able to like focus so hard on this thing.
That's right.
It's really beautiful and cool, but then also being like I don't want to play standards, but they keep making me.
Yeah.
And I don't give a fuck about marimba, but I spend most of my time on marimba because it's my professor has a really high standard for it, and I need to pass this test. This music test.
I hear you, man.
At the end of the thing. So after graduating, also will acknowledge that the liberal arts component and being able to take liberal arts classes during it was huge for me.
Yeah.
And like taking like a Russian lit class while I'm doing all this other stuff. It's just like it all felt related, and it all felt like the same thing, and very big proponent of that kind of mentality. But so leaving school and then having to, you know, I was not really in a place to like go do the master's program, which is now essentially like expected, which is so strange and so weird. And
it's sort of assumed
sometimes. Which is go spend more money, or like you're good enough to get in, but it's never free. And I think that's like you gotta go live somewhere and you gotta go
but at the same time, like you're saying, like it's such a privilege to be able to focus your whole shit on that. I mean, I think it's a really cool part that some people get to do. I mean,
and I have such a complex relationship with it now. Added complexity in that I worked for Lawrence for 2 years as a conservatory admissions counselor. So basically talking to all these like 16, 17, 18-year-olds about like, okay, do you want to go to Lawrence? Do you want to go to music school? Here's all the information you need.
Yeah.
And then very, very fortunate that I was able to like get a job, a full-time salary job out of college, and learned a lot and did a lot. And Appleton, Wisconsin was kind of tough as like a younger person that was interested in music because it's a small college town. And so then kind of came over here. And so during that time when I was out of school, it's like, well, I'm in the quote-unquote real world now, and like I have a job, which is great, and I'm trying to get better at just doing my job. But then just this conflicting thing of like I was in this like liberal arts bubble, this conservatory bubble, and then trying to see the real world, and then also like at the same time having to sell those things.
You're in a bubble, reaching out to the other bubble that is like a high school kid's bubble, and
so it's very, very hermetic and confusing and conflicting, and then trying to deal with the emotional trauma of music school, which is saying you loved this thing, and then you got a little bit whipped around that thing, like there's trauma around that thing, and then saying like, okay, like what is my relationship to music gonna be? Having to like figure out how to not feel bad for not practicing was like a huge thing. Which, because you get this mentality of like, if it's not 4 hours, it's nothing, and like I'm gonna lose my hands. And it's like, what does that even mean? And like, what are you doing this for? So in that kind of like period of trying to evaluate what music was, I ended up getting really interested. I had always thought, like, I'm a drummer, I only do drum stuff, and there was the composers on campus, and there was these classes that I could have taken about music technology and kind of all the things that come along with that. And then realizing afterwards, like, oh, like, I can learn that if I want to.
That's right.
And then kind of being like, all right, like, I'm going to dig into that, and then was, like, had the time. It's, like, not much going on in Appleton, and was able to basically teach myself Max MSP, which is a programming language of sorts for basically digital sounds, signal processing.
I know that software. It seems to be the preferred thing coming out. People that come out of university music programs, and
you don't have to be a computer science person to get into it, but it has that depth of like we can get way at the bottom and figure it out. And the way that I always describe it is like it's like you can build any guitar pedal you'd ever wanted, and you can make the knobs go from negative infinity to positive infinity. Because you control all the parameters, you control what plugs into what, and then all of a sudden you're realizing like, whoa, like delay is not just delay. Delay can be a whole entire lifelong practice. Of like, I'm gonna like think of all the different ways that the impractical ways to use delay, the practical ways to think of delay, and the way, just like the almost like in conservatory you have something called oral skills, which is like I want to be able to hear like Bach and be able to say what the chords are as they go by.
Okay.
So it's like ear training. You can have an ear training for every aspect of music, and then realizing like how bad conservatory is at like teaching you like here's what like a nicely compressed thing sounds like. And like here's what a good reverb sounds like, and here's what filters do, and here's what EQ does, and kind of being able to like, and then you know there's so much shit on the internet you can just teach yourself, and like I felt like a fucking idiot for 3 years, right? Like I'm like, no, this is dumb, I'm bad at this, it's terrible, and then being able to show it to other people and them being like, whoa, that's like whatever you're doing is really cool. And taking all the lessons that I took from improvised music specifically and saying like, not to get dark on any music community ever,
I hear you, man.
But saying like, there's some computer music stuff that I don't hear anyone listening. You know, like I want to be able to explore the lessons from improvised music and say like, what does it mean to create a system in a computer that I can interact with in the same way that I interact with a human. It'll surprise me, it'll piss me off, it'll do something really dumb at the wrong time, it won't even turn on sometimes. But that you can have like a really complicated relationship with a system that you designed and leaving chaos and randomness in it.
That's the tricky cool shit is and I mean I've seen people doing things like that with computer language and Arduino, which I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but like it's sort of like this robotic physical thing that can happen, and doing drum stuff with that, and it would hear what you would do and then react to it, and then you could I was just transfixed by that.
And I think when you have an improviser's ear, there's so many different ways to listen to music, but like when I'm watching a group and I know that they're generally kind of either free or structured improvisation, it's like I'm trying to hear how their ears are hearing each other. And the beautiful, sophisticated, mature ways that you can react to something without like trying to like jump on someone's train. Like you don't have to jump on anyone's train. You probably shouldn't jump on their train. So being able to hear that, have that type of ear with a system that you built, and but yeah, so
I think that's a cool pursuit. I mean, personally, I'm not in that realm, and through my performing and being around people that do shit, I haven't heard anything that caught me, but the idea caught me.
Right.
I don't know what that means, but maybe it just hasn't been around enough.
Yeah.
For it to get in the hands of certain kinds of cats or
Yeah.
something. I don't know what the deal is.
What's been really cool is like people like Noah and Cole and a lot of friends have kind of realizing the kind of potential of these systems, and then also being able to like, I've been building systems for other people, which is like a really beautiful relationship you can have, and you almost get into like engineer brain where you're like, I'm gonna build you this beautiful machine.
Yeah,
and it's instrument
are.
building, which I like you think a lot about, right?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in that realm.
So it's like, okay, like what defines an instrument, and what, like when you're working with somebody, like how do you get them to say what they want, because they might not know what they want. And
that gets into a language thing.
Yeah, and how
of the
bad
failure,
our vocabulary is.
The failure of language to describe music, and I think
of course, and that gets back to like the little stuff in between, right?
Yeah.
Like if words could describe it, we wouldn't like it.
That is the real shit. But I always, when I think about it, I always think about this score that I had, and then they had, they have that little sort of like instruction at the beginning, like lively or some shit. It said with feeling.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, man. I got hung up on that for a long time. Really hung up.
Yeah.
And then an early drum machine had a knob on it that was called feeling.
Whoa, are you kidding?
Yeah, and it.
Do you still have it?
No, but what it would do is it would
like humanize or
it would just introduce error.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's called in music tech. It's called humanization, which is so funny.
Yeah.
I think we need to make it more.
This would have been like early '80s drum machine, and
that's so cool.
I just want a little more feeling.
Or sometimes you don't.
Oh.
Yeah. Right. Like.
Yeah.
You want the.
Yeah. You want it to crack.
Yeah.
And
that's so. And it's so beautiful. What the beautiful thing about Maximus P is that those weird drum machines or whatever that they were making in kind of like late 70s, early 80s into the 90s, you know, they're making them, somebody had to prototype that, right?
Yeah.
Somebody had to say like, I need to decide where that knob, where there's 0% feeling and 100% feeling.
Yeah.
And then that's a completely arbitrary decision.
Yeah.
And in the same way that we explore our instruments and kind of see the full spectrum of possibility of like, this instrument is not and it gets back to classical music, right? Like the hard thing about marimba is that I was told to play it a really particular way. And maybe if I had discovered that instrument and saw the full spectrum of possibility for that instrument, I wouldn't like kind of have like a very weird relationship with it now. But with Max basically being able to rapidly prototype ideas, try it out, see what works, and then you're basically like fine-tuning in where you want those knobs to go with the full knowledge that that's just for, you know, all the folders that I save stuff in are that gig that I'm playing. Because I know the next gig, I want it to be a different parameters, different zeros and ones. And
now, are you bringing that this evening for concert?
So Cole is doing his solo saxophone stuff, which he uses guitar pedals in a really unique way. I haven't seen anyone else use it that way. And then as a transition, I basically built a long delay system for my partner, Alana, who performs with it just with her voice, which is really beautiful, but it's one of those things that literally any input can go into it, and it creates this world of immersive sound with kind of that Cole and I were just kind of messing around at our house, and he really enjoyed, and he's actually going to, I think one of the things that we ended up recording, he might end up putting on his solo record.
Oh, right on.
And then I'm going to record whatever that is, and then use that as the primary material for basically like a sampling based set. So everything tonight will be like
Oh, that's
tied together.
That's part of a bigger picture.
Yeah, and
You're
I think
a big picture guy.
I like being able to tie things together, and then for people to be able to like, you have the knowledge that it's all the same source material, and just seeing like I love sampling just as like an idea and how expansive and delay and reverb are just sampling, right?
Yeah.
And even if you have a reverb in a room, that's the room sampling you.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? Like that's
and some rooms fuck you up from it.
Yeah.
Because that's interesting. I haven't messed with that software, but I think I've messed with the idea in that I'm not a pedal person because for me, they're too canned.
Yeah, they're restrictive.
But
they're too perfect. Like you can't fuck them up.
But you can open them up.
Oh, and
the circuitry is, all the real shit happens in the integrated circuits and stuff, but you can change, there's all kinds of trim pots in there, and you can change out resistor values and solder in like a capacitor to up a value, and then it starts to do shit that's not right.
Yeah.
And then it starts to make sounds that interest me, and that can be like, get me jacked up, and using something in so my thing has been physical things.
Yeah.
Where I look at electronic boards and stuff as a physical thing to manipulate as well as actual physical shit. And I think I'm going to maybe spend some time looking into your software because I've heard enough cats that I dig monkeying with it and I've seen it. I was at a show where they projected it.
Oh, funny, yeah.
Yeah, it was just fucking great.
Yeah.
It was so good because it's just the right amount of nerdy.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, there's nothing fucked up about it. But it's still nerdy enough where you're like, ooh.
Yeah, it's not a drummer walking around in high school with drumsticks in their pocket.
No.
It's the kid that's practicing a little too much.
Yeah, it's that guy. It's the geek,
who just loves it. And like you can smell the love. So.
Yeah, and I call that is like a geek.
Yeah.
And
endearing term.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. So I think we've reached the end here.
Yeah.
For chatting. You are a very pleasant conversationalist.
Oh, thanks. You as well.
I'm not really, though. But you're good at it, and I appreciate that. Thanks for sitting down and sharing a little bit of what your shit is, and I'm going to hang and catch your set.
Yeah, we got to plug in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'll let you go do it, man. All right, thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, of course.
And there we have a glimpse into the realms of Patrick Marsche. As he sat down to share with me a bit of what goes into his art. Thank you so much for tuning in and for being one of the few interested in the somewhat obscure, the art of improvised music. The Khyber Pass podcast brings you weekly interviews and bits of performance. from artists that have performed at the Khyber Pass Cafe Thursday evening music series. Until next time, I am your host, Paul Metzger, signing off.